Good evening, everyone. My name is Vicki Stanich, and welcome to our program presented by the Tacoma Pierce County Coalition on Police Oversight.
Hi, I'm Dave Hackett, and I want to welcome you all to the Unitarian Church this evening. I'm a member of the church, and I sponsor Indivisible Tacoma to meet here. So, thank you. I'm very grateful that you're here. And one quick question: what's the opposite of valuing diversity? Just yell out. Okay, just checking if I was in the right place. Thank you. I'm going to go sit down now.
We thank Dave and the church for hosting Indivisible Tacoma and letting us have this space. My name is Barb Church, and I'll do the land acknowledgement. My indigenous name is Oneida from the Stalo Nation. We acknowledge that we are on the stolen land of the Puyallup tribe, who has lived here since time immemorial. We acknowledge that the Puyallup and other Native nations have been targets of invasion, occupation, and displacement, leading to centuries of trauma. We acknowledge the sovereign rights of the Puyallup and other tribal nations as we stand in solidarity with their efforts to have these rights honored as part of their work to end generations of trauma. We acknowledge that in this moment of racism directed toward Native, Black, Brown, and immigrant communities, it is imperative that we find common ground to work in coalition together to save and strengthen and protect our culture, treaty rights, and ultimately for the protection of our very lives. Thank you.
PSARA is our co-host for this program. That's the Puget Sound Advocates for Retirement Action.
Don't worry, I have to look it up every time I talk about it. One of those things. So I joined PSARA here in Tacoma about a year ago, and this is a great organization like all the other ones. I think I have a step in every one of these organizations somewhere. And it really is great to see what we can do for other people to know what's out there for our retirement people, even before you retire, to get all the information about how to get insurance. Oh, I remember that. So what I wanted to say is that we meet in right now, the co-op up on North Pearl Street by on the way to Point Defiance, and our next meeting is June 11th, and we meet from 5:30 to 7, and we have a pretty good crowd, and what's really exciting is that almost every one of them had been very involved in a union during their time of work, so it really helps with that. Another thing I wanted just to mention, because we'll probably all be at a lot of these things, but on June 10th, the council that represents the field offices and the phone center workers for Social Security nationwide, we're going to have be down at I think it's like North 43rd Street in Alder, where the Social Security office is by the mall. And we're going to be out there waving to hopefully say, don't get rid of our Social Security and be nice to these people that help us, okay? Like that. But if you have any questions, I do have quite a few brochures out here and right back there. And you can ask me any questions and I'll see what I can do, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. So right now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the election team and what we're doing. We're deep into research on the recommending endorsements of candidates. We are looking at judicial races, and as you all know, it's very important this year. And we will be coming out with our own voter guide that people often look for. And we're in the process, as we speak, with recommending endorsements. And you will probably, you will see some of the, let's see, June 17th is when we're going to have a candidate forum. And we'll be inviting some of the candidates that we've endorsed. And then your ballots will be arriving in July, mid-July, and August is the primary. So keep an eye out for our recommended endorsements. Thank you.
And some of those endorsements are for LD 29, 28, 25, congressional endorsements. So they're really critical endorsements, and a lot of people don't take the time to do the research that Indivisible does. I mean, we look at their prior voting records, we look at newspaper articles, we look at some of our own experiences with those candidates, and so it's pretty in-depth. So we just want you to know that we don't take any of it lightly and feel strongly about the endorsements that we do make.
I want to make sure that everybody is aware. If you see on our website, you can see the upcoming events. And this coming Monday, we are going ahead and having our Indivisible Tacoma monthly social. So I hope you'll come at 5:30 at the Caballeros Club. And you'll see all the details online on our website. And if you get our newsletter, if you don't get our newsletter, sign up through the website. And the next thing on the agenda is welcoming representatives from Tacoma for All, who are talking about the initiative that we hope will make a difference for renters in Tacoma. So coming up.
So Rami and Aiden will be talking about the initiative that we hope to get on the ballot in November.
Hey everyone, my name is Rami Khalil, and here we go. Again, I'm Rami. I'm with Tacoma for All, and we're really happy to be here. It's nice to see all of you.
Hi everyone, my name's Aiden. I'm a steering committee member of Tacoma for All. I'm a tenant here in the city, and yeah, thank you for welcoming us into your space.
So I know that many of us are upset about what Donald Trump is doing in the country, and as many of you know, Tacoma for All is trying to build a local grassroots working class movement to fight back against what's happening in our country. The Republicans are doing terrible things, but even the corporate Democrats, the establishment Democrats, aren't doing much about the cost of living crisis and many other issues. And so we did a ballot initiative 3 years ago to establish all of these protections for renters, which were really groundbreaking protections, the strongest protections for renters in the state. And then the Tacoma City Council chose to not enforce it. And so now we're having to do another ballot initiative this year to make the renter protections enforceable. So if a corporate slumlord just repeatedly violates tenants' rights, now if we get this new initiative passed, they would have to pay really large fines. So it puts a stronger incentive on the landlords to not just jack up rent without giving notice and all those different, there's a lot of rules in there. Is there anything more you want to say about the initiative?
Sure. Yeah, so to get on the initiative, as some of you probably know, we need to gather signatures. Our goal is 9,000 signatures by June 14th, and we're about halfway there. So that's some good news. We've collected thousands of signatures so far. There's also some warning flags. Hey, we gotta gather more signatures. So what that means is marshaling a lot of volunteers to get out there and pound the pavement, knock on doors, stand outside at farmers markets or your local Walmart or your Fred Meyer, your grocery outlet, and ask folks how they feel about renter protections and renters laws in the city. What we're trying to do here is build working class power from the ground up in a local movement, and it's connected to, of course, so many other things, many of which you're already aware of, connected to the broader national scene and everything going on in our national politics. But it starts right here for us. It starts with this initiative. It started 3 years ago, to be clear, but it's starting once again. We're building momentum, we're gaining membership, and we would appreciate any help you're willing to give in the next few weeks, in the next month or so, to help us volunteer and gather more signatures to get on the ballot this November. Yeah.
And so we'll bring around clipboards here in a second. I just want to say lastly that the last ballot initiative we did was literally the most expensive political campaign in Tacoma history. The corporate landlord lobby spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to prevent voters from supporting this and spreading misinformation to mislead voters. And we expect them to spend probably more this time because we beat them once at the ballot box and they know we're a serious force and they're probably scared of us because it sets a bad precedent if local cities keep passing renter protection. So we need your help. This is an exciting opportunity to stand up against the corporate elite that are taking over our country and show locally that we can do something differently. So yeah, I guess I'll just ask people to raise your hand if you want to volunteer, if you want to come out and collect signatures, and we'll bring you a little clipboard where you can sign up. You can basically almost any evening or weekend for the next 4 weeks is the chance we have to get this on the ballot by June 14th. So just raise your hand if you want to help out, and we'll come around and give you a clipboard. Just keep your hand up until Aiden or I bring you a clipboard. Thank you so much for your time and energy.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalil and Aiden. I also want to mention that Indivisible Tacoma has endorsed the initiative, and also today on KNKX and PR, there was a report about the initiative. So I advise you to maybe go back to your, like a podcast and listen to it. It's really a good announcement.
So how many of you were here last month when our lands commissioner was speaking, as well as the legacy tree experts all the way from Bellingham to Olympia? All right, that's great. So I have a sign-on letter to Governor Ferguson. And with this climate crisis, as Trump continues to open up lands to greater resource extraction, drill, baby, drill. Have you heard that? That's what he says. So Washington legacy forests are at risk, and we need strong action. That's what this letter to Governor Ferguson is about. Are there any organizations here? I know some of you here have already signed. PSARA signed, Climate Action South Sound is signed. Are there any organizations here who would like to sign on to that letter to Governor Ferguson? I have copies of it, and you can read it. I just need to keep the copy because it's in its final draft form, and it needs to be totally finalized. But is there an organization that hasn't signed it who would like to read it and decide if you want to sign it? Raise your hand. All right, I'll give those to you both.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks for your attention. We are growing, and it's really encouraging when people are home alone being depressed, but when we get together, we really get so much out of these events that we put on. Tonight, we really are here to hear from community members who know some things that a lot of us don't know about the history in Tacoma, and I'm going to introduce right now Oneida Arnold, who is part of the coalition presenting the program tonight. So Oneida, you want to come on up?
Good evening, and thank you for being here. For more than 4 decades, Tacoma residents have called for meaningful civilian oversight of the police department. What exists today are advisory bodies with no independent authority, no access to records without a public records request, and no power to hold anyone accountable. This is not anti-police. Independent civilian oversight is pro-community, pro-safety, and pro-trust. Every officer who does their job with integrity benefits from a system that holds everyone to the same standard. The Tacoma Pierce County Coalition is a broad alliance of community organizations, faith institutions, civic leaders, and residents united by a shared commitment to justice and accountability. Our coalition includes the Black Collective, NAACP Tacoma Branch, Tacoma Ministerial Alliance, the Institute for Black Justice, Associated Ministries, Indivisible Tacoma, and many more. We believe that every resident of Tacoma deserves a police department that is transparent, accountable, and guided by the community it serves. I am pleased to introduce the members of the panel who will discuss the work they have been doing for decades to bring independent civilian oversight to our city. First, Louis P. Cooper, Jr. Mr. Cooper has been a resident of Tacoma, Washington for 33 years and spent half his professional career working with, not in, law enforcement, also juvenile and adult corrections. In his last 20 years prior to retirement, he was the head of security, labor relations, and corporate social responsibility for the Port of Tacoma. During that time, he had a great deal of exposure to Tacoma Police Department and its workings. More importantly, he served on the Tacoma City's Communities Police Advisory Committee for 10 years and just finished his term in January this year. For the last 5 years, Mr. Cooper has been actively involved and outspoken on the need for independent police oversight of the Tacoma Police Department. Thank you for being here, Mr. Cooper. Next we have Bishop Dr. Lawrence White. Bishop Dr. White is a native of Omaha, Nebraska, married for 30 years. He has served as senior pastor at the Church of the Living God for 30 years. He is the executive director of the Vision Center, a faith-based nonprofit of the Church of the Living God. Bishop Dr. White is the past president of the Tacoma Ministerial Alliance and is current president of Equitas, thank you, and chair of the Tacoma Pierce County Community Collective. Thank you for being with us. So I'm going to have our esteemed panelists come up.
Good evening, and again, I want to thank you all for being here and being supportive of the coalition. I want to start out by asking your grace for my dark glasses. I'm not trying to be cool, but I am. But I have a photophobia that I got 3 years ago from an accident, so my eyes are pretty sensitive. So please bear with me, and I ask you for space. As indicated, I've been a member of CPAC for 10 years. The last 5 years has been the most challenging, even though, you know, I hope you're aware that this has been going on for some 40 plus years. In our audience is Reverend David Alger, who was part of that fight for I don't know how many years, but he has a lot of history. And the city of Tacoma has tried to avoid police oversight for years. It started a long time before I even moved here. The city's human rights, I want to walk you through just a series of things that give you a little bit of backdrop, and then I'll finish up with just a little bit of knowledge I want to share with you, because I've learned a lot in 10 years. Even though I spent a lot of time working with cops on the street, in corrections institutions, but they're a very closed society, and they operate in a closed environment. The last 5 years have been the most challenging, as I said. The city's Human Rights Commission and the ACLU recommended in the late 80s an independent auditor and authority to monitor the citizens' complaint process from start to finish. 2005, the city adopted a resolution 27589 to establish a citizens' police oversight for TPD. In 2007, City Council adopted another ordinance, 27589, creating the Citizens Police Advisory instead Citizens Oversight. In 2020, CPAC began investigating and looking at a way to reach an independent oversight from advisory. Now, some of that was stimulated by the George Floyd killing, Damani Ellis, and about 209 other people in this country that were murdered by police. In 2020, CPAC began exploring switching from advisory to independent oversight. We held conversations, conducted research with people across the country to give us insight and direction, including meetings with 21CP. Who is 21CP? 21CP is a professional organization that rooted from the President's Task Force around policing and safety. Its mission and focus is threefold. Solutions works with state, local, and tribal and university governments to help them deliver safe, effective, just, and constitutional public safety services. They have four tenets. They have innovation, using data, technology, and best practices to modernize policing, respect, building trust in the community, and partnerships, transparency, open decision-making and accountability, justice, ensuring fairness and constitutional integrity in public safety systems. We also contacted NAACP, the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, which has over 200 members nationwide. Their mission, building public trust through law enforcement accountability and transparency. Community oversight, the road to public accountability. The U.S. law enforcement operates under a shroud of secrecy, as you can see on their website, but they want visibility and transparency. They have 8 tenets as well. Independent police oversight, individualized, based upon the community needs and desires. Community supervision and driven by the community. Empowerment, transparency, investment in community fully, and an iterative process, meaningful oversight, and numerous builders for Tacoma, which we do not have. Law enforcement is protected by a number of laws, statutory and procedural protections, qualified immunity, and many other procedures that allow them to operate in the manner in which they operate, with no accountability. That was one of the organizations we consulted with. In 2021, 21CP recommended in one of their findings that the city should consider development of external oversight commission as a backdrop to ensure comprehensive investigations into misconduct, increase public trust, and accountability of the system. In 2022, CPAC conducted a community outreach to determine preference of models and priorities. What did the oversight committee look like in the city of Tacoma? Should it be an audit kind of committee, or should it be an oversight civilian-run committee? In 2023, we met with a new policy advisor, attorney David Perez from Seattle. To finalize, recommendations were submitted to then City Manager Pauly and their legal staff. The city's Charter Review Committee recommendations consisted of establishing an independent civilian community oversight for police accountability with an ombudsman. At the time, Andre Jimenez, as well as Latasha Palmer, Councilwoman Latasha Palmer, was part of the committees that we met with. CPAC worked with another city committee to also determine which direction we should go. They also recommended an Office of Independent Policing and Accountability, it should be established by ordinance. That's what the Citizens Review Committee recommended. An independent community review committee oversight established by ordinance. That's very important. On July 11, 2023, CPAC original recommendations was presented to the City Council. I was one of the presenters along with a young woman by the name of Shana Raphael, who did a lot of the research for our committee. Any changes in ordinance must be negotiated with Local 6, and I'll tell you why in just a second, which was to take place during the 2023 negotiations, but were never advanced. We were later told, after the contract was signed, that it was never put on the table. In 2024, a letter was drafted from myself and Alan McKenzie, who was the chair, asking the city mayor, at that time Mayor Woodards, to ask the council to pass a resolution for oversight and to deal with the union if they could not strike a deal, and if need be, go to arbitration. The city was not ready to go to arbitration. They said they couldn't do that. The city gave management's rights away to TPD, I believe, in 1992. There's a subordination clause in the contract. And very simply, that clause tells the city what it can and cannot do unless you negotiate it outside of that particular clause. No policies, no ordinances, no changes in the law, nothing unless you negotiate with the city of Tacoma Police Department. That gives them extraordinary power to do what they want to do. Oversight versus advisory. Oversight can investigate, receive information, complaints at the same time, study data, investigate TP's access to all information, body camera, any data that will help us make a determination of whether the police acted the way they shouldn't have acted. Advisory, what we have today is not authority, gives no input. We can't make recommendations. If we do, we never hear about them. And after we receive completed complaints signed off by the police and chief and the city attorney, it's a done deal. I share this information with you to give you a background of what we've had to deal with the last 5 years, let alone what Reverend Alger and others have had to deal with before my time. If we are to access public information today as an advisory committee, we must make a public records request. Now just think about that. Citizens Police Advisory Committee has to make a public records request to review complaints, data, body cam footage. We have to make a public request. That's ridiculous. What are we doing? So I shared this with you to close out some of my comments. I don't want to, I can get into this forever because I've been doing it, feels like forever. But it's so much here that's on a tape and so much I had to pull out. But I wanted to share this with you. On April 23rd, Adrian Jones, who was our chair prior to me stepping down, my time ran out, as our former chair of the committee stated in our April 23rd town hall meeting. Independent civilian oversight carries the authority to investigate, to access records, data, body cam footage, and hold officers in the system accountable. Despite the dedication of past and current members of CPAC and the numerous hours that they put in, we just don't have the tools in the toolbox to make it work. It's empty. You deserve a better community. We deserve to be heard. That was her statement, and I called her today and asked her if I could use it in closing. And if I sound a little nervous, I am, but you know what? This is what we've been dealing with in Tacoma, and it's time for us to get off the dime and make something happen in the city. And even if it goes, we had selected, I'll just say one other thing. Alan McKenzie and I had suggested that we go to interest-based bargaining with law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't want to hear it. Interest-based bargaining, the city didn't want to do it. So at the end of the day, this is what we have after 40 years. Like I said, there's 200 plus organizations, law enforcement organizations, oversight, independent oversight committees around the nation. It's time for us to get off the dime in the city of Tacoma. Thank you very much.
I want to say good evening to everyone. Again, thank you for allowing me and allowing us as a coalition to share this space with you tonight. Again, my name is Bishop Dr. Lawrence White. I serve as Senior Pastor of Church of the Living God and non-denominational fellowship in the Hilltop area of Tacoma, Washington. I'm here tonight with my beautiful wife, Lady Audrey, tonight. We're just grateful to be here to share and to talk about a very serious issue that has been a plague to Tacoma Pierce County, as Mr. Cooper said, for over 40 years. It has been said many times that the people perish for a lack of knowledge. We're grateful tonight. I'm going to reflect back over the town hall meeting that we had several weeks back, and just say thank you for taking up the invitation to the TUUC family. Thank you for allowing us to be here with you tonight to just share about this critical issue. Tonight, I want to make real clear that tonight is not starting at ground zero. I made that comment at Evergreen. I want to repeat that comment tonight. This is not a new effort. This is not a new initiative. This is not a new concern. This is the continuation of something that has been a huge challenge, but yet a huge opportunity for the citizens of Tacoma. This coalition stands on the shoulders of every community member, every petition, every city council testimony, every meeting in church basements, every kitchen table conversation that has happened over the last 40 years. Every person who refused to let this issue die brought us here tonight. We want to honor them by making sure that this next chapter ends differently than any other chapter. As Lewis said, we had a town hall meeting at Evergreen, and I was fortunate to share space with our former mayor, Mayor Barsma, with Adrian Jones, who was the former head or president of CPAC, also Carol Mitchell, one of our distinguished members of Community for Peace. And one of the common things that we said, and one of the things I want to drive home tonight, is that our purpose being here tonight and our continued conversation as we move forward and into other spaces is that this is pro-community and pro-safety. This is pro-community and pro-safety. We're not here to bash. We're not here to drag anyone through anything unnecessary, because what affects us affects them, and what affects them affects us. What you've heard very clearly is that the benefit to our officers, who I honor, who serve and protect, it impacts them in a positive way if they have a standard of accountability that holds the few that make choices that impacts the lives of families across this city. One of the things that Adrian talked about, I'm not going to cover that because Lewis covered that, talking about the challenges of CPAC and their ability to get information and be able to digest information in order to be able to make fact-based recommendations. But Bill Barsma talked about a very tragic situation, very tragic story that we all know about. That if we had this type of accountability, if we had these type of measures that are needed in our community available, then we would not have had the tragic brain situation that we had so many years ago. And though it's many years ago, the reality is it still reverberates in our hearts today. To imagine the pain and the suffering of family members and friends and associates who were impacted, the community at large that was impacted by the fact that there were not measures in place to evaluate the not only just the capability, but the credibility of an individual to serve and protect. And because those measures were not in place and are not in place, then we are still vulnerable today to have situations like Manny Ellis and other situations. There are members in this room tonight. There are people in this room tonight who are the legacy of lives lost too soon, lives lost without reason, things that have been done unjustly. And we honor them for taking time to be with us here tonight. Tonight is about being for our community. It's not about being against anyone. Independent civilian oversight is pro-community. It is pro-safety. It is pro-trust. Every officer who does their job with integrity, I want to repeat it because it's worth repeating. Every officer who does this job with integrity benefits from a system that holds everyone accountable to the same standard. I want to make it very clear. A city that cannot be honest about what is broken cannot build the trust that keeps everyone safe for the community or officers. The Tacoma Pierce County Coalition is broad, it is diverse, and most of all, we're organized. Faith communities, civic organizations, labor, educators, Black-led leadership, multiracial leadership, and elected partners. We're not a pop-up. We have a plan. We have resources. We have the will to stay in this for independent oversight until it becomes a reality for Tacoma. We have committed that over the next 90 days, and that clock has already started. And again, I want to continue to say thank you to you for allowing us to share this space, because this is what it will take over the next 90 days to continue to inform, to educate, and most of all, to empower people to create change. Change will not happen unless our voices collectively reverberate from spaces like this into needed spaces, into the ears of those who can make decisions and create policy and change for our city. There are three things, three simple asks that I have tonight, and I want to make them clear for you tonight. Number one, the first ask is your voice. We need your support right now in this room. The issue is that we need you to make a fundamental decision that you care about the lives of all people, that you fundamentally are concerned about safety of neighborhoods and communities, and you want to hold the city accountable and not allow the police department to hold themselves accountable while protecting themselves at the same time. Anytime you have a process where those who are perpetrating issues, and again, I'm not talking about the collective whole, but how many of us know that it only takes one to spoil the whole? It has been recorded, it says the little leaven leavens the whole loaf. And so we must understand that it has been said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So tonight we're just continuing that thought, we're continuing that cry, we're continuing that concern. And what we're asking first and foremost is for each and every one of you to consider, to make a decision before you leave this place to say, I'm in, I'm on, and I'm going to stay the course. Number two, know who has the power. Again, it has been said that people perish for lack of knowledge. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to assure, not only tonight, but as we go forward, we're going to continue to make sure that you individually and collectively have the names of those who are the power brokers, the decision makers, and those who we have to hold accountable in order to create accountability. I'm very thankful that one of them is in the house tonight, and we appreciate that she has made the decision to say that I was committed before getting on the council. I'm staying committed as a council member because it's not about position, it's about what's right for community. The Tacoma City Council, they vote on the contracts, the budget, and the policies that make oversight real or keep it advisory. The city manager, he directs city staff and he sets the tone whether this city will negotiate in good faith. And then finally, the chief of police. She sits at the negotiating table and she shapes what TPD is willing to accept. Again, we're not here. We will not go forward in an adversarial posture. We're only advocating for what's best and what's right, not only for the citizens of Tacoma, but also for the police department themselves. But there comes a time in which we have to face a hard truth that for too long, the police department has had power that is not deserved, power that has now usurped healthy community, that has now put at risk the safety of our young people. And so we have to make a fundamental decision tonight that we're going to hold them accountable for creating accountability in our city. Number 3. Number 3, bring this conversation to more spaces like this. Again, I cannot thank the leadership, the members, the community partners who sponsored this event. I cannot, on behalf of the coalition, thank you enough for opening your space to us. What we would ask you to do is speak to other spaces, speak into other spaces, tell somebody about what you heard, encourage them to hear firsthand for themselves. I repeat the commitment tonight. We said at Evergreen, and we're here tonight living out what we said we will do. If you invite us, we will come. Talk to others and encourage them to open their doors, open their churches, open their studios, open their spaces, and allow us to come in and just have a dialogue. We're here, again, to inform. We're here to educate, but most of all, we're here to empower each and every one of you. The voice of one can be heard. The voice of many can bring about change. I'll say that again. The voice of one can be heard, but the voice of many can drive change. It takes all of us being on the same sheet of music, saying the same thing at the same time for the same outcome. We're simply asking, do what's right for the citizens and the community and the neighborhoods of Tacoma, and that is independent civilian oversight. The city has known about this for over 40 years. The community has not stopped asking. And answers we have been given have not been answers. They have just been disappointments. But tonight, I believe by faith that this is another shift towards accountability. I believe tonight is another step towards accountability. I will leave out of here, I will choose to leave out of here by faith, believing that we're in a better place leaving than where we came in. We don't know when the decision is going to be made. We don't know when the law is going to be passed. We don't know when the ink will finally dry. But I know and I believe by faith that we're one step closer to the ink drying on the new contract that will bring us closer to accountability for the city of Tacoma. Tonight is not an end. It's a transition to an expected end. So the question is, what can you do? What can happen? What do we need? Here's what we need now. If you're ready to act tonight, just simply sign up. You can go to our website. The PowerPoint has been cycling through and the website is posted on there. You can go to the website at any point in time and you can sign up as a concerned citizen, as an organization, as a community stakeholder. And you can do that right now. Could I get everybody to just say right now? Right now. Next. What can you do next? What needs to happen next? If you or others in your family or circle of influence need more before you can act, ask us to come again. Ask us to meet you again. Ask us to tell the story again until it resonates at a point in time in which you fully understand and can make a full commitment to this collective effort. Turn to somebody and look at them and say, I got next. Finally, we've talked about now, we've talked about what's next. What we believe finally is that there's new growth out there. What is new growth? New growth is each and every one of you now choosing to be an ambassador. To choose, because one of the things, I said this before, and I'm going to say it in every space that I have the opportunity to say it. One of the things that I know to be true is that you cannot unhear what you've heard. I'm going to say that again. One of the joys and the pleasures I get, not only in this space, but anytime I get a chance to stand to just proclaim truth, is that proclaiming the truth is just a part of it. The other part of it is, what do you do with truth? Will you take truth and ignore it? That's a choice. Will you take truth and continue to hide it? That's another choice. Or will you take truth and then replant it, believing that new growth will come from the truth? It has been said, and I'm done, that the truth will make you free. Amen. If we want true freedom, if we want true liberty, not just in this country, but in our city and in our community, in our neighborhoods, it takes planting the truth. What you cannot say is that you were not told the truth. God bless you all and God keep you.
Thank you so much for coming. So question and answer now. You may have some. And just come on up to the mic. I'm going to pass this here.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. I live in Lakewood, and Lakewood has its own issues. What is my voice to the city council in Tacoma probably doesn't mean a lot. What can someone who lives nearby do? Should I work with Lakewood or should I?
I would encourage you in all due respect, all in humility and all due respect, I would that you would never believe that your voice means nothing.
I just meant in Tacoma, since I'm not a resident, but you feel like they would listen.
Any place where you have, I want to encourage you that any place where you have the opportunity simply to tell the truth, plant the truth, is a powerful commitment to liberating communities, neighborhoods, and making all of us safer. And so you may reside in Tacoma, but your voice is needed everywhere. And so if it's just talking to a friend who you know lives in Tacoma. So from a voting standpoint, from a municipality standpoint, I hear that there are boundaries or limits. But the wonderful thing about the truth is that the truth cannot be limited. And so you've heard some great things tonight. You know more than when you came in. All we simply ask is just do the very best work that you can and just tell someone else.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Ricardo. I live in Tacoma. And I've been interested in this issue for a number of years, inasmuch as it's pretty clear to me that Tacoma Police Department is kind of a mixed bag. Some people are fantastic, and others, I kind of have the feeling it's kind of like Montana if you want to shoot an elk. You know, you enter a lottery, and if you're the winner, you get to shoot an elk, except here, it's a black man. And so I guess my own particular feeling is whenever I've attended a meeting like this, I've always said, let's look at the last 30 years. I want to see the kill list. I want to see the incident where somebody was killed by cops, who the cops were, who the victim was, what the circumstances were, and so forth. Now, the University of Washington, Tacoma has a criminal justice program. And there's a certain software called R. And R is used by the academy to slice and dice statistics. So you give it that kill list, and you could work up all kinds of things. Now, I've always been informed, yes, that was existing, but somehow it's never appeared. And it seems to me, you get a good student who's taking criminal justice, you get that list, and you slice and dice it, and come up with a number of significant statistics, and you hand it to the media. You hand it to the media because, you know, we're not being taken seriously. You're the guys being shot. I'm the guy being paid no attention to, and city council is clearly just going to shine this on as long as they possibly can. So I think it's time to stick in our oar. So my question to you is there this list? And where is it? And once it's there in public hands, we can hand it over to Slice and Dice, and we can get it to the media.
Well, the question, the real answer is we have to access absolutely. But we have to access the data. If we can't access the data, to your point, we can never determine who's doing what and when it's being done.
Oh, in other words, there isn't this list.
There's data.
There's
But only
the list.
but only the police have the data. Right. That's the whole problem. There's no transparency with TPD.
I see.
And we can't see officers' names. We can't see badge numbers. Nothing. That's been the problem all along. Once we get that data, that's a different ballgame.
Newspaper searches. Can we do a 30-year newspaper search? And
I don't think you can because typically those names and that data is redacted. You cannot see badge number. You cannot see name.
well, I guess I'm where I was before. I
But don't give up, please.
This makes me feel very good, but frankly, I'm not yet taking it seriously.
Thank you.
I was wondering, like, is anybody having issues with the PRRs when you put in the request to TBD? Because I've heard from others when they're trying to put in the public records requests under the Washington State law for body cam and case information that they're having long delays.
Yes, they are. Nothing has changed. I wish Adrian was here to give you her viewpoint of what brought her to the Citizens Police Advisory Committee. She almost waited a year to get a response. And then
That's a violation of law, isn't
well,
it?
I believe it is, but if you continue to tell the individual, we're working on the requests, and you give them periods of time, there's not a lot you can do other than wait for them to, if they never respond, then you have a different story. But she almost waited a year for a police officer to come and investigate her complaint of her next door neighbor.
At that point, would the Attorney General office be able to help them, remind them of the law?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Oh, we gotta move it down a little bit. I'm so grateful and honored to be here in this space with you all tonight. Your words really moved me. I'm really grateful to be in this fight. I'm sure you guys know, just a couple blocks from here, James Rideout's niece Jackie was executed in her car in 2019. And I'm a tribally enrolled Osage Native American, and the coming together for our mutual and collective liberation, I think, couldn't be more important or more powerful. And so I'm looking at places that have won something like civilian oversight, like Chicago, and how they were able to get that passed with the NARPR and the National Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression. And so I'm wondering if you guys have thoughts or lessons that we can take from that to apply here. If you're familiar with the case, I assume you are.
So we have the same data, the same point of interest we've looked at. We will continue to look. I come out of the corporate arena, and so one of the disciplines that we had was best practice. What are the best practices? What is, as Lewis said, what is the data? This gentleman said, what does the data tell us, and how do we respond to the data and the trend of the data? So we're there, but the issue is that until we can get a collective commitment to move forward, all of that work would just be in vain.
And I might add that when former police chief Avery Moore was here, one of his best colleagues was the chief of police of the city of Chicago, and that's where I was born and raised. And they talked about best practices. And we also had talked with an attorney out of Houston that had been in Chicago to look at their best practices. I should have mentioned that. But we have had a number of people tell us about best practices, and one of them was our Attorney General, Nick Brown, before he became Attorney General.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Megan. Hi, Christy Gladhill. I live in Gig Harbor, and I've been curious about, I was at the event that you had at the Evergreen back in April, and I know that you had a full house of the city manager, the sheriff, the city council members, the mayor were there, and I'm wondering what has transpired between that meeting and now, if any of them have spoken to you, or, oh, I see your smile. Okay, well, I'll just leave it there and... Nothing? Oh, so no follow-up?
No,
From
there's
any of
been
them?
nothing.
Okay. Well, so I wanted to just check, because what I'm hearing in terms of next steps, because I'd like to do something, and I'm sure a lot of people here would, I am hearing that we can go to the website and we can sign up to get updates and notices. I'm also hearing that we can invite you all to just keep speaking in different formats and forums. I'm wondering, is there anything else, any other follow-up steps that any of us could do directly after this?
Again, one of the things you can do is to be a voice. Tell a neighbor, tell a colleague, tell a family member, tell everyone you can where it's relevant about this issue, but also encourage them and empower them. One of the principles, this is a faith principle, but it has application, and it's each one reach one. If everyone just makes a decision that I'm just going to reach one, we don't need you to reach 10, don't need you to reach 100, but if every individual just makes a commitment to reach one, we'd be amazed as the change we can create.
So like if everyone here in the next week specifically goes out of their way to like have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, let's talk about this right now.
Are you aware?
Yeah.
You know, so we don't want to assume that everyone is not aware, but I think the fair question is, are you aware that this is going on? Are you aware that this is a concern? Are you concerned? And I think that starts the conversation. We're not here to judge or to mark someone in an adverse way. But again, it is, and I'll keep saying it, the people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Agreed, and checks and balances are important.
Absolutely.
And it needs teeth.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Dave Hackett. Thank you for being here and for sharing your knowledge and your years and years of work. I'm most grateful. I appreciate our neighbor's comment about data. You know, give me some data, and the fact that it's hidden, doesn't show up in the newspaper, names, badges. What I imagine shows up more often in the newspaper are reports about what happened and to whom. And I'm thinking partly about myself, and I think other people, that some people are motivated by data, you know, which sort of hits above the collarbones. Others of us are motivated by stories and emotion, which hits below the collarbones. I used to be a data guy until I got a heart, and now, yeah, true. I used to do data for the Congress. But I got a heart, and now I find myself getting motivated by stories. And so there's a database there too, somewhere, buried in the Tacoma News Tribune or somewhere. And I'd like to read that book. You know, it might be 50 pages, it might be 150 pages long, just story after story after story, with the resolution of no resolution. You know, no badge number, no police name, no disciplinary action. You know, one after another, after another, after another. And I think it would work for me. You know, you already scared the heck out of me, but scare me more. You know.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Patricia Gwynn, and I do live in Tacoma, and thank you for coming. Some of us are visual learners, and some of us are oral learners. And I appreciate what you've both said, but I need to see something. On your website, what do you have on the website?
If you go to the website, you will see currently more information, the data than we were able to present. We had a limited time and we wanted to be sensitive and effective in the time that we had allocated. But you can go on there and you can read and see a ton of information. But it also will get you access to other places where we have made and we will continue to make available what data we can. The true data that we need, as told, we don't have access to that. But everything else that we can, including best practice, you can locate it on the website.
Part of it is that I appreciate what you said, but I'm still not terribly tuned into the difference between advisory and oversight, other than advisory can do nothing, and at this point, maybe oversight isn't doing anything either. So I need to know that sort of thing before I can go out and feel confident to tell somebody what's going on.
So let me say this to you. So advisory, to your point, has no effect, has no teeth. Having oversight is the opposite. It gives the authority and the ability to actually take things to actual action. And so we're just trying to empower citizens to be able to take actions for issues and things that impact them directly. So that's the difference. The difference is no action, no teeth. The other one is actual teeth and actual impact and change in policing in Tacoma.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is on the website as well.
Great.
Member Nalgett.
Hi, my name is Dave Alger. I've been involved in this issue since the early 1980s with the Citizens Committee on the Causes of Racial Tension in Tacoma, and then on a predecessor organization to what Lewis worked on. I appreciate how calm we can be in talking about this, but I get very angry because I've seen how government and I also understand I'm a strong union supporter, but I understand also that one particular union or a couple of unions that represent law enforcement have made this just about impossible to get through because they do everything they can to stop having oversight. I just wanted to mention that because that's, and the other thing is that some of our citizen leaders, that is the people who are in the city manager's position or people who have served as the attorney or different attorneys working for the city, have been responsible for some of the kind of pocket vetoing of this in the past, and they need to be held accountable and not just hidden behind the structures of the city. And lastly, one of the things that you guys didn't mention tonight, and maybe I apologize if this is not appropriate to mention, but this is costing our city millions. Yes. Millions and millions of dollars. I mean, the Brame situation alone cost us about 12 or 15 million. You know, and then we saw just recently what happened with the other officers who were involved in the shooting not too long ago, and that amounted to several millions of dollars. My understanding is that we're talking about figures well in excess of $20, $30 million that we pay for because we are not holding our officers accountable in advance. So I thank my colleagues for presenting tonight, and I apologize for not being present with you for the last couple of weeks. But this is a very, very important issue. Let me close with one other comment, and that is that most of the faces that are in here are white. The people that have been most heavily impacted by all of this are people of color. I'm embarrassed that the church that I have been a part of and the churches that are all predominantly white in Tacoma are not motivated enough to come out and think about this issue. The African American churches are here. There are others who are here in African American organizations. But we, as white folks, it's time for us to stand up and be counted.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Diane Powers, and I just wanted to remind you of one other way you could have your voice heard is if you do live in Tacoma, you can contact your council member or the city manager. And one of the things you can say is, hey, I was at that community town hall and I know you were there. And I'm wondering, what steps are you taking to address this issue? Because we know that the community is concerned. So I just wanted to remind you of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
And just quickly, I failed to mention that they are in negotiations as we speak right now with Local 6 TPD negotiating the next contract. So this is this is a great time to make a phone call or call somebody.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Johnson, former president of the Tacoma NAACP. And to answer part of the question about the data collection, it's fractionalized, it's all over the place. The NAACP had a record. In fact, when we went to the Department of Justice, we had a request for them to come and do an audit to find out if there was sufficient evidence they could take control of what was happening. The ACLU took the information we had provided. The ACLU did further research, and they did provide us some information that stopped in 2024. There's no ongoing effort because we're not collecting that. But
where is it now?
That effort is in the report that we received from the ACLU, and it was in the document that went out to the DOJ before they lost their conscience. And when they lost their conscience,
I don't
well,
care about the ACLU.
I got it.
I will check to see if we can have that added to our website, because the information is available. The contractor who did that, Momentum, put that together for us. But that is available, but again, it's a snapshot of a segment of time. And some of the things that we've discovered in the NAACP is there were families that were impacted, but because their stories never made the newspaper, we were the only people who heard that. And so we need to try to make that broader. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Can I say one more thing on it? Just,
very
it's just
quickly.
real quick, okay? So, Mayor Ibsen has coffee offices time at different coffee places around town. And May 27th, from 2 to 3:15, he will be at the Bluebeard Coffee Roasters on 6th Avenue, if anybody wants to join him. May 27th, from 2 to 3:15 at the Bluebeard Coffee Roasters, 2201 6th Avenue. From 2 to 3:15. And I've actually gone to one of those, and he does listen to people.
He does.
Yep, thank you.
One more hand, please. Thank you. Mr. Cooper, Bishop Dr. White, thank you. And you've given us steps to take. So on behalf of Indivisible, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and the good questions that you had. I hope that you have something to take out with you. And please join us for snacks and networking and visiting right over here. Thank you.